Hello? Yes, someone just clicked. Yeah, they're watching the video right now. They are... Yeah, they're watching the video, yes. Not subscribed, no. So what do I say? What's the procedure, sir? You sure, sir? Just call them a muppet. That's it. And it works. Psychology is... Oh, right, great. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Subscribe, you muppet! Alright. Train by day. Joe Rogan by night. All day. Alright, so today we are checking out Joe Rogan Experience episode 2321, where the guest is Dr. Zahi Hawass. As we can read, Dr. Zahi Hawass is an archaeologist, Egyptologist, lecturer, and former Egyptian Minister of Antiquities. And so this guy here. He is also an author of several books, among other things, and we could say that is a representation of mainstream archaeology. With that being said, I'm very curious to see how the conversation goes. Let's jump right into it.
What do you want?
No, it's up to you to decide.
It's up to you. I'll talk to you forever. I have so many questions. I'm very excited to meet you.
Same.
I've seen you in documentaries for decades. So many documentaries. I've watched so many things about Egypt. I'm completely fascinated by it.
You know, I will tell you something. Do you know this guy used to do a radio show late evening?
Art Bell? The best. He was the best.
I need to say this on air.
Okay.
I need to say his story on air.
Okay.
Now, are we on air now?
Yeah, we're on air.
Art Bell used to, every evening to attack me.
He attacked you?
Yes.
Oh.
How Zahi Hawass say how the Egyptian can move stones.
Oh.
That's not true. The Egyptians cannot do that. Then I was teaching at UCLA, and he called me for an interview. I said, no, I'm not going to give you an interview until you come to visit me in Egypt. And he said, okay. He came with his wife. I took him to a quarry that we are cutting stones to construct the Sphinx. Then I brought...
So he took him to a quarry where maybe he means a quarry that historically was used to cut stones to build the Sphinx, of course, because it's not like they're building Sphinx now. I'm just getting used to the accent, by the way. I just need a second. I do understand him, of course. It's just sometimes I lose a beat. I don't know if that happens to you as well.
I brought a stone, 8 tons weight. And I brought a man on the age of 70. And I told this man, cut this stone. The old man stood above the stone. You know, stones has weak parts like us. With a pencil, he drew a line from the beginning to the end. In the middle, he put a piece of iron. He cut it for twice.
Yes. Well, interesting beginning. So it is true, of course. I've seen this technique demonstrated, and human beings are resourceful, smart, and sometimes we think, oh, that's impossible. The people in the past could do this. But the reality is that even without modern technology, a lot of things have been achieved. And a lot of the times, like when we actually read the sources, we will be fascinated and amazed at something that feels modern, but they already had, albeit with the tech that they had available to them. I think another example of something similar would be the idea of deep mining that the Romans did, like the way they would build vertical shafts that can go down up to even 200 meters when they were looking specifically for silver and gold. And sometimes, because there are a lot of problems when you go deep mining, temperature, oxygen quality, and also darkness and water. But just to talk about the darkness part, they would carry with them small dishes of terracotta with a little wick, I think it's called, that you can turn on, and then they would wear them on their head. So basically it's very similar, once you paint a picture in your head, as modern helmets with a torch or a flashlight. It's just that it was done with ancient tech. With that being said, he mentioned iron, an iron nail, didn't he?
A line from the beginning to the end. In the middle, he put a piece of iron. He cut it for twice.
That is fascinating, but ultimately irrelevant, since the ancient Egyptians didn't have access to iron when they built the pyramids. So there is that. But it is an interesting story, so I want to see where he takes this.
I said, Art, the Egyptian doesn't use muscles. They use their brain.
Sure.
Because the pyramid was the national project of the whole nation.
Yeah.
If you go today, if I take you today with me, and you know, I always tell people this. I give lectures maybe 3-4 times a week for American groups. And I tell them the following. If you stood in front of the Great Pyramid and you look at it, you will never believe that this pyramid built by human being. Why? Because you don't know. And number two, if you try to do it today, you will never be able to do it. Are you going to hire today 10,000 workmen to work for 28 years for nothing? That was the national project of the whole nation.
For nothing. I understand the point he's drawing, and I think the point is valid. Like, the idea is different culture, different time. Of course, they did believe that the Egypt pharaoh was a god. So, of course, all of that has to be factored in when you look at what people did in the past and what they achieved. With that being said, why for nothing, though? Because some are slaves, maybe the ones like digging the quarries, but I mean, I'm not arguing with top-tier archaeologists, of course. If there is something here that I'm misunderstanding, probably it's on me. But I do want to ask questions, and the public should be always encouraged to ask questions, because the people that say, well, you don't have 15 PhDs in this field, so you can't speak, are the people that are elitist and gatekeeping, and I will never allow them to have that level of power, at least as long as I have a voice. So, yes, do ask your questions, and if they try to make you feel stupid or under-prepared for that, they are in the wrong, you are in the right. With that being said, there were definitely skilled workmen that were paid for their job, so I don't know why he said for nothing, but I guess the point that he's drawing, might be a language barrier in this case, is that it's difficult for us to comprehend something that they did 5,000 years ago, and that's as a national project, and it's absolutely a fair point.
I think Art Bell's real concern was, how would someone possibly move those stones 4,500 years ago?
Okay.
A lot of questions, right?
Yes, but can I answer you now?
Yes, please.
Listen, 2 examples I will tell you. The first example happened a few years ago. I discovered a tomb in a site called Abu Sir. In the top of the tomb, there was a huge granite sarcophagus, 20 tons weight. Okay?
Okay.
If you come to Egypt, have you been in Egypt?
No, I haven't.
You have to. If you talk about Egypt,
I have to.
You have to come.
I know.
But you have to tell me before you come.
I'll come. I will tell you.
Now,
I promise.
I brought only 10 people because I called the Minister of Culture
He's taking his
and I
time.
told him, we found an intact tomb. And the minister said, wait, I will bring the reporter, the press, and we'll do it live. I said, okay, but I hate to do anything live. Then I came to the site, I brought my workmen, 10 workmen only moved the 20 tons only by wooden sledges. We found underneath
That is insane.
another sarcophagus, 10 tons weight of granite. We took the third one and we found underneath a third one, 5 tons weight. We took the 5 tons out and we found underneath a coffin with the mummy. And I told the workmen, put everything back. And I called the minister, I said, you can bring the press, we'll open it live. I never told him that I cheated him, but only in a site that I'm excavating right now. We do discover 60 feet under the ground, we discover sealed sarcophagus. The lid is about 10 tons weight. 2 workmen only opened the lid for me. We have a machine called the devil. I don't know why they called it the devil.
Devil?
Devil.
Okay. Why? I don't know. I asked them. They said our grandfathers called it like that. Then they brought...
This is an ancient machine?
It is an ancient machine.
Jamie could probably pull it up.
Then
It's probably online.
Then they put this machine under the lid, and they come doing like this, and they raise the lid a little bit. Mm-hmm. When the lid is raised, they put a piece of wood. Mm-hmm. another piece of wood,
Okay.
I wish you qualified how ancient we are talking when it comes to the machine.
until there is a half a feet that I can put
Right.
my face inside with the with a flashlight to see what's inside the coffin. That's what because the people today are the descendants of the ancient Egyptian. Mm-hmm. There is a village located north of Luxor, and this village, all the people work in antiquities, and they know. If you look at their faces, exactly like the ancient Egyptian people, and all the people working with me. I'm excavating right now in Giza. We're going to tell you good news inside the Great Pyramid that we found, and also in Saqqara and Luxor. And this is why in my lecture tour now, I'm making major important announcement that we'll talk about it with you today.
Okay. What did you find?
Now, can I call you Joe?
Please do.
And you call me Zahi.
Okay.
Now, I do receive fan emails.
You've received emails?
What did you say? Foul? Fat? Foul emails? Fat emails?
Fan.
Fan emails.
About 50 a week.
Yeah.
Some of them, bad ones.
Right.
Some people
Haters.
think that I discovered evidence to prove that pyramids built by aliens
Ooh.
or lost civilization,
We're going
and I
there.
hide them. I never answer these questions. But to you, I tell you, how can I hide anything? I'm not working alone. I'm working with people. You cannot hide anything because people will see you. And I will tell you a joke. It happened, but it's a joke. A reporter came to see me from California to my office, and my office was located next to the Great Pyramid of Kufu.
I wonder if that's coffee.
And he said to me, people say at 12 noon, you leave your office and you go to the bathroom and you open a tunnel from your bathroom. It's really, it's what he said. And you go from the tunnel to the Great Pyramid and you hide things and you come back. I said, okay, what do you need from me now? He said, I want to see your bathroom. This really happened. He went to my bathroom.
Did he check all the panels?
And he came back. I said, have you seen any tunnels in my bathroom? He said, no. I said, what are you going to do now? He said, I will publish your bathroom in the internet. And therefore, if you want to see my bathroom, write www.hawassbathroom.com.
Is that much of an issue that people really believe?
No, I gotta do this. I gotta do it. I gotta do it live. Well, I guess, one bathroom did come up. I don't know if it's this one, to be honest, but yeah. Oh, that's funny. Zahi Hawass and Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast paid around $1 million to film Pyramids viral videos. Well, considering the fact he makes, $5 million a month? That's like peanuts for him. Peanuts. Goodness gracious. What a society we live in.
That you had to make a website for it?
They do believe in this. And
I didn't find the website, by the way.
And some of them attack me badly.
Well, that's part of the problem, right? Is that the Egyptian pyramids and just Egypt in general is so spectacular. The accomplishments of the ancient Egyptians were so monumental and so above anything that anybody had ever achieved. And since, what they've done, thousands.
Well, that depends, because I look at the achievements of the Romans, for instance. I don't know, but yeah, I understand we're talking because of the period in which this happened with the building of the pyramids 4,500 years ago. So yeah, sure, I understand that.
And thousands of years ago, still to this day, puzzles people when they try to figure out how it was built.
I will tell you.
You will tell me how it was built?
Of course.
Okay.
How
do you know?
How do you know?
How do you know?
I found all the evidence of building the pyramid. We published a book, 1,000 pages. This book is the Bible of the pyramids of Giza Plateau.
Okay. Tell me how they did it.
Now,
1,000 pages.
what we found out, the major problem that people think about pyramids, because most of the information that's written on pyramids are wrong.
Most of it?
Most of it.
In archaeology books?
In archaeology books.
Really?
Except me and Mark Lehner.
You guys are the only ones that have it right?
Because I have been working in Giza for the last 57 years of my life.
Oh, goodness gracious, that is a very bold statement. I personally was expecting him to be like the alt history people are wrong, or the people that think it's aliens are wrong, or the people that think it's an Ice Age civilization are wrong. And I thought he was going to side with that, with kind of mainstream archaeology, but it seems like that he's saying everyone is wrong except for him. So that is a very bold statement, and we'll have to see how he justifies it. I mean, I understand 57 years. I can respect that, of course, but man, everyone is wrong.
I excavated every piece of sand.
Okay, what do the archaeologists have wrong in these archaeologist books?
For example, number one, they say that the workmen who built the pyramids worked only 4 months a year. When the flood covered the whole country, the king hired the workmen to work in his pyramid. This is wrong, and I will tell you what's correct. Number two, that the stones used in building the Great Pyramid came from Torah. And Torah is a 25 miles to the east from Giza. And number three, that Kufu ruled for 23 years.
Oh, he's going to say that these stones are coming from Loco, probably, like very close, which is something I said. But then again, I'm no one when it comes to this. But I did say that that is an opinion I have, because it would just make sense. And the only reason why I said that is because that's what the Romans did. Again, I understand we're not talking about ancient Rome, but still, like some of the things that the Romans and the Greeks did, they took from the Egyptians. So one thing that Romans used to do a lot, and for instance, they did it when they were expanding and really rebuilding, in a way, the settlement, the Celtic settlement of Parisi, where modern day Paris is. They changed it into Lutetia, the name. But still, they did do that. They dug pretty much underneath it, and that's where they got the rocks, the stone, the material, and then they sort of brought it up and built it. That's one of the reasons why you have the labyrinth of Paris. Is a lot of those areas are former Roman quarries, and then it expanded over the centuries, all the way up to the Middle Ages, kept expanding. Anyways. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem believing that they quarried local stone, but let's see how he proves it.
And number four, that the stones of the Great Pyramid are 2,300,000 blocks.
Right.
How many blocks are there?
Now, let us talk about number one, the workmen.
The workmen.
I found the tombs of the pyramid builders only 1 mile south of the Sphinx. A major important discovery that can tell everyone, number one, that pyramids built by Egyptians because of the names that we found inside the cemetery. And they were not slaves.
Okay.
Because is that your phone?
I have to.
Yeah, kill that thing.
Kill it. You're right. I always, because I do lots of interviews, I always close it.
Oh, I get
Except today.
No worries. Nobody knows how to shut these things off anymore.
Then now, this discovery.
Okay, so explain. So you found the pyramids, you found the workers' pyramids graves.
And they were not slaves, yeah.
A mile away.
Away 1 mile south of the pyramids.
And by their names?
Then I found names of the workmen. I found the lower cemetery. The lower cemetery were for the burial of the workmen who moved the stones. And the upper cemetery was for the technicians.
Right. And how do you know this?
I will tell you.
Okay.
Now, the tombs down there are very primitive tombs, built from mud brick, cost nothing. Underneath is a skeleton. And if the skeleton is for a man, he's holding a beer jar. He wants to drink beer in the afterlife. If the skeleton is for a woman, she has a perfume vessels. She wants to have perfume in the afterlife. Inside the upper cemetery, I found 21 titles in hieroglyphic. For example, the overseer in hieroglyphic of the side of the pyramid.
Oh, it says that? The overseer of the side of the pyramid?
Emira Ges Mer in hieroglyphic. The overseer of the west side of the pyramid. Draftsman, craftsman, the one who stands in front of the harbor. All these titles had to do with building the pyramid.
Yeah, when he says harbor, I think they did use the River Nile as a means of transportation, because if you think about it, using water with boats, it would make sense rather than having to carry them by hand. So that's probably one of the means of transportation that he's going to, if it comes from sort of nearby.
Inside the tombs, we found the tools that the Egyptian used to cut the stones.
What
Right.
tools?
Diorite and flint tools, because in the Old Kingdom, there was no iron.
Are
Exactly.
these photos of these tools available online? Can we look at them?
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Can we see them
published-
are they online?
No, in my book, Giza and the Pyramids.
It must
I
be.
don't know if it's online.
I'm sure it's online.
Online or
Jamie
not.
will find it. So these tools were flint and diorite. What is diorite?
Diorite, Diorite. Diorite is more sharp stone than iron. And it came from a quarry south of Aswan
So you feel like they used this very hard stone to cut into
to cut the
granite.
stones. And I will come back to this cutting the stones.
Okay.
That's a fascinating thing. I'd like to see it done. I'd like to see it done, since it's all about, look, I can get 2 men and move a 20-ton, 10-ton thing. I can get 10 workers and move a 20-ton slab of stone. Then I think it would be great to see it, because, yeah, one of the main counter that are used usually by the people that don't believe it was built by the Egyptians is the idea of, having to use copper tools, and copper is going to bend if you try and hit because it's not particularly hard. But then again, if he says that there is a type of stone that they knew how to use and they had mastered, and this stone is particularly, he said sharp. I don't know why sharpness would matter, but then again, it could be a language barrier, because if it's too sharp, it might be brittle. But I wonder if it's like some kind of stone that is so hard that it can resist, can be used to smack the specific points of rock that you're going to cut for the stones in order to produce. Yeah, I mean, sure, that could be interesting. I'd like to see it done.
But let me continue about the workmen.
Okay.
To the east of the tombs, we found an area for sorting salted fish. We found an area for the bakery, making bread. We found the workmen barracks for the workmen who moved the stones to live. We found a whole city for the technicians, for the artisans. And we discovered
Man, what a project.
thousands of animal bones. Because people always say that the workmen who built the pyramid, they ate only garlic and bread and drink beer. And I thought if they do that, they will die. But now we discovered that they slaughter 11 cows and 33 goats every day. And this can feed 10,000 workmen a day. Wow. Then we believe now, and I published, that the workmen who built the pyramids were 10,000 workmen. And they worked every day. And they took 1 day off every 10 days. Joe, I want to tell you, the pyramid was a national project. The 3 millions who lived in Egypt had to build the pyramid for the king to be a god. And therefore, the households in the south and the north of Egypt participated in building the pyramid by sending workforce and food to help it.
Yeah, from the family. I did read that about the draft and everything. And then if you tried and not go, because you had to go and provide work from someone in the family, a male from the family who could work would have to be sent. And then if you don't, then they'll come and get someone else, a replacement. Like imagine your son runs away, then they'll come and get the uncle, or they'll come and get someone else. So, and then you will work for a certain amount of time, and then there will be, like, it's kind of similar to like a military draft, but for construction. That's the way I understood it. And again, some were slaves. I would imagine that a certain level of slaves was still there, but we used to think it was only slaves, and it is being now kind of readdressed that it's a bit of a mix. So there were a lot of skilled workers, and of course, if you have someone who is an artisan, then 100% they're not a slave. In fact, they're probably well paid. But if you're someone who just needs to hit rock in the quarry and extract, so it's not necessarily as skilled a labor in the sense that you can replace with any abled man, then at that point, I think they also used the slaves to increase the numbers.
Be the king. Now we come to the second point, the stones.
Please.
We discovered that all the stones of the 3 pyramids at Giza the stones came from quarries in the site itself.
Yeah, there you go.
Even
I
the
was right.
king's chamber?
No, except the granite in the king's chamber and
And where'd that come from?
from Aswan.
And that's 500 miles away, right?
Yes, by the flood. The flood.
And
was,
those were 50 to 80 tons?
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Yes.
I would, if I was working there, it would matter. I'm
No,
like, I
no,
gotta carry
because
what?
I showed you. Not only 50 tons. It's 20 tons. Now, what we found out, first, how the Egyptian built the pyramid. They make on the ground a square base. Okay?
The bedrock.
Okay.
And after that, they cut in the solid rock in the four sides. You know, I'm going to tell you one thing.
Okay.
If you tell me that pyramids built by giants, okay?
Yeah, some people say that.
I will say, okay, come to the excavation. All the skeleton that you discover are 5 to 6 feet high. Nothing about
Who's
giants.
saying they were built by giants?
No,
Some
yeah,
people say that.
people say
Okay.
that. Yeah.
The second,
I've heard aliens.
okay, the second aliens. If aliens built the pyramids,
Yeah.
do they leave any? Do they shit sometimes? Aren't they going to shit?
Maybe aliens don't shit.
Maybe they don't.
If they don't shit, are they
Everyone
going
shits?
to leave something on the ground?
It's interesting because that's kind of an archaeologist's approach to alien, right? Because you want to see the remains because everything leaves remains. That's interesting, unless they packed everything up inside the spaceship and left, I guess.
On the contrary, I give you the evidence, every evidence that I will tell you today
actual workers.
of actual workers and what's happening. Now,
Right.
we come about building the pyramid.
Still, to kind of play devil's advocate, you could also say that the aliens were the overlords and then they used humans as labor, which would only leave it remains as workers. Just playing devil's advocate here, just to approach this from a kind of all sorts of perspectives.
All the stones I told you came from Giza Plateau. We found out what happened first. They cut in the solid rock
Okay.
and they made the base of the pyramid to be 28 feet on the solid rock. No stones. Do you get this?
Yes.
We have in Egypt 120 pyramids. We don't have only Kufu pyramid
Yeah, of course.
that
Right.
everyone is talking about. You have 120 pyramids. This is one of them.
Right.
But the reason that this pyramid is so accurate and strong, because Giza Plateau is the only site in Egypt of the pyramids. It's a part of the Metatron formation. It has 3 levels. Level 1 and 2 are very bad stones. But level 3 is the top quality of the stones. That the Egyptian used this stone to build the pyramid. Then after they make the base
that's
of
why
the
they
pyramid
chose it.
to be 20 feet each of stone, we found out 1,000 feet away, we found out the quarry location. All the
So
stones,
they only had to bring the stones 1,000
Yeah.
feet.
only the stones that,
The stones
that came from outside are the casing stones.
The casing,
and I will
yeah.
talk about this later. That
Okay.
came from Torah, and the granite came from Aswan.
And the casing stones with the outside smooth surface.
Yeah, and they looked white, by the way, in period. It's just that there is only, I think, one of the 3 pyramids where you can still see the casing stones. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, you can still see a little bit of the casing stone here. So it was covered completely, entirely encased, and that's what they would have looked back in the day. They would have been completely white with a kind of a gilded top. They would have looked magnificent. Not to imagine, just imagine how much they would have reflected in the sun, because you know how white surface reflects the sun. So imagine this thing would have been glowing, seeing it from a distance. Marvelous, really. There we go. Does that make the Egyptians white supremacists? I don't know, guys. You tell me. I'm a little confused now.
Exactly.
Limestone,
Came
right?
from Torah.
Okay.
Then now, when we discovered the quarry location and the base of the pyramid, we thought how they established the ramp. You know the ramp?
Right. To move.
To move the stones.
Right.
We found out if the Egyptian will make the ramp from the quarry to the base, it will never happen. Because when you raise the base, you need to extend the ramp. We found that out. Listen to this carefully.
Okay.
that the only way to have a permanent ramp is to come to the southwest corner of the main pyramid. They built the ramp like this.
Okay.
And I excavated. And these are photos in my book, Giza and the Pyramids. I excavated from here to here. When the Egyptian construct a ramp, when they finish building the pyramid, they demolish the ramp. They cannot demolish all of it. They have to leave something in the ground.
Okay.
Do you get this?
Yes.
I excavated
And you found
from here to here. I found in situ remains of the ramp.
Are there photos of this?
Of course, in my book.
Okay, let's find the
In my book,
photos of.
I think the in my book is gonna continue. Not there is anything wrong. I'm just saying I think this is how it's gonna be because of course this gentleman is I think 77, so it's not exactly internet age. So I doubt that he knows where to find but we'll see if the members of the team, Joe Rogan's team, can find stuff. But he's just gonna continue saying the book.
The equipment first. Can't find anything?
I'll show you what I was.
It's in my book.
What did you
I
find?
told you.
Nothing.
It's in the book, guys.
Nothing?
It's
How is that not online? That doesn't even make any
Pictures of the
sense.
It's in my book,
But-
Giza and the
Book.
Pyramids.
It's in the book. Joe.
Maybe look up.
These are the
from,
tombs. No,
his
Joe,
book.
these are the tombs of the pyramid builders.
I mean,
there.
at this point, I would have said, look for the book PDF. I'm sure, it's somewhere. Just buy a digital copy, mate. You make a lot of money. Buy a digital copy.
It's the excavation.
This episode is brought to you by the Farmer's Dog.
Farmer's dog. Actually, we do use the farmer's dog for my dogs, believe it or not. So yeah, we use it.
Applicable for new customers only.
And this all what I discovered. This is my discovery of everything. Every piece of sand here tells us about the builder of the pyramid. But let me continue this. I will come to you. Then now, let us. If you go to my book, you will find out
Let us.
that I found here the diorite and the flint tools.
Okay.
Listen. Then now, I will come. The stones for building the pyramid came from the plateau. The casing came from Torah. Now we come to how many years Kufu ruled. Joe, there is one big discovery happened a few years ago.
Are these the tools?
No. This is tools for artists. The tools in our book, which is big diorite tools and big flint tools, big ones.
Big. Yeah, that's cool. I'd like to see them.
Why is this not online?
Who never put them in line? It's in my book.
Right, but I mean,
book,
wouldn't
Joe.
that be everywhere? I mean, that's such a huge archaeological discovery.
It's not. It's because it's everywhere. It's not.
Isn't it in a museum? Excuse me if I interject, but if you find that unless they went into, it's not like you put them in the book and they vanish. So they've got to be in a museum.
Only in the Workman only. It's in every site. You have these tools in many sites.
Right, but why aren't these tools online? That's all I'm asking.
Ask the people online, but they are remains in my book.
Are they in a museum somewhere?
There is some in the Cairo Museum, yes.
So there should be a photograph of them in the museum.
Yes.
Okay.
What would Jamie look for? But I don't know. I'm just like asking him.
Now I want to come to
What museum would have them?
Cairo Museum.
Cairo Museum would
yes.
have those tools?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, a few years ago, a major discovery happened for the first time. It is the first time that we have written evidence about building the pyramid of Kufu.
When did this happen?
3 years ago.
Really?
It's called the Wadi el-Jarf papyri. Do you want to know what's in this papyri?
I do.
This papyri was found in Sinai, in a port belongs to Kufu. And inside this port, there was caves. And inside the caves, found remains of boat and this big papyri. It's large, huge.
There it is.
That's it, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
And what does this say?
Now,
First of all, how old is that?
4,600 years ago.
Isn't that amazing?
That's incredible.
And
You
listen,
could find writing.
In this-
4,600. So papyrus was made with animal skin, correct?
No, that's a papyrus is plant-based. A scroll is made with animal skin.
correct?
No, papyrus was of papyrus from the papyri.
Right. What is
We have those in Sicily, for instance, and if you go to Syracuse, you still see the plants, just because that's one of the centers where they would get them, at least in the Mediterranean, apart from Egypt.
The papyri is just like leaves.
okay?
Now, but listen to the papyri. It is a diary of an overseer of the workmen. His name is Merer, Merer. Okay? Merer is saying, I am Sahaj in hieroglyphic, means an inspector. Under me, working 40 workmen. I was hired by Kufu to work in his pyramid. This is in hieroglyphic. And he said, my immediate boss, his name is Diddy.
Like P Diddy?
Diddy, yes. Now,
did he say?
his name is Diddy.
Like P Diddy?
Diddy, yes. Now,
Okay.
20 years ago, in my excavation west of the Great Pyramid of Kufu, I discovered 20 tombs.
Are these the tools?
No.
No, these tools...
No, this is not the tools.
not gonna
No.
find them.
The tools are really sharp type of big tools. We found some of them.
What is
Not-
that Jamie's looking at? What are these
This could be the tombs in the left is like them. In the left here.
those tools? Are
No,
like
no,
them?
no, no, more. No, down. No.
No.
Where?
You know here there is more. To the left, to the left, to the left, to the left.
Come on,
No.
left. I mean,
Again.
left and right.
What?
Just go left.
This two tools.
You mean up?
Down.
What are you talking?
Up, down,
the
left,
second
right.
one. After this one. That's it. Up. That's it. And this one.
Oh, those.
Those.
Yeah. But don't those look exactly like the other photograph we just had? Those up there. That looks like the heads of
But
these
this was the
things.
smalls. I'm talking about big ones.
So that's...
These are tools for making statues and things like, but not cutting the stones.
Oh, I see. So these are the same kind of tools, though, with the same kind of materials.
But let me talk about the papyri again.
Okay.
Because this many people.
Feels like he has a presentation in mind. One feel that I'm getting from Dr. Hawass is that he's very public press oriented. So he has got this thing, he's got his presentation, that's what he's going to say, and then even in the way he speaks is like, we found a discovery. This discovery, it's like the way he says it, it's very, you can tell this man is used to speak to the public through the press, through the media. You can tell 100%.
People doesn't know about this.
Okay.
Then Merer said, my boss's name is Didi. 20 years ago, I excavated west of the Great Pyramid of Kufu. I found 20 tombs, beautiful ones. I published all of them, except one small tomb I said is not important. 3 years ago, I found this is the tomb of Didi, the person that he was the boss of Merer.
Mentioned in the papyrus.
And I published this tomb. You can find this tomb online now. It's called Didi's tomb by Zahi Hawass, west of the Great Pyramid of Kufu. Now, listen, Joe, what Merer said, I took my workmen, this is in hieroglyphic. We went to Torah to cut the white fine limestone. This sentence means that the pyramid was finished, and Merer went to bring the stones for the casing. And he said, I'm not alone. There is many other gangs are cutting the stones. And Torah is in north and south. And he said, I divided my gangs to 3 gangs. One gang to cut the stones. And one gang is smoothing the stones. And smoothing the stones with the right tools to face the stones for the casing. And after that, he said, and the third group moving the stones in wooden sledges. To
This is all in the papyrus.
in the
said that.
papyri, to a cargo boat.
Yeah, I knew it
What
was about...
happened in the Old Kingdom?
yeah,
We have evidence that the River Nile, the Egyptian cut to the west of this River Nile another Nile, to be near the pyramid. From this Nile, they
tributary.
cut a canal.
Yeah.
At the end of the canal, there is a harbor in front of every pyramid. I discovered in my excavation in front of Kufu pyramid, there is a village called Nazlet Saman. In this village, the people were building houses. Underneath the houses, we found basalt walls. I stopped the construction of the houses and I excavated the whole area. I found this is the harbor of Kufu, and I published this in an article. And I excavated in front of the Sphinx temple, and I found the harbor of Kefren, and it's published. Now, the reason for the canal and the harbor to bring non-local stones,
Right.
granite from Aswan, alabaster from Middle Egypt, diorite from Nubia, basalt from Fayoum, white limestone from Torah. The Egyptian had everything.
So they essentially cut a second canal. They cut a canal just so they could move the stones to where they wanted them.
And I discovered all of this.
I mean, it makes sense because you use a boat, it's a massive, big cargo boat, and then you fill it with stones. It is the most efficient way to move it, honestly, considering the weight. It does make sense. And then he says that human hands, as long as you got a lot of people, they're strong, they can move these. Man, imagine though, that would have been, the accidents. Imagine the work accidents. One of those 20-ton stone falls on your foot.
And this is published. If you write Zahi Hawass.
And so this was all the casing stones.
Exactly.
Right. Is it possible that the casing stones were put on later?
You know,
of
after
course,
you
at
finish
the end,
building
yeah.
the pyramid,
Yeah.
Right.
there is two important things when they finish building the pyramid. I discovered in a site called Abu Sir, I discovered two scenes. One scene, workmen dragging a capstone. Above the capstone is a hieroglyphic word called Ja'im.
So where's this?
Where is this?
This is in hieroglyphs? Them
Yes.
dragging the capstone?
Yes.
Can we see this?
Find out. I don't know if it's internet or not. But
What would Jamie look for?
look for Zahi Hawass discovery in Abu Sir.
How much do you think was lost during the burning of the Library of Alexandria?
A lot, of course.
Everything, right?
Everything. And this is why what I'm telling you, I have been excavating in Giza, Joe, for the last 57 years. I know every piece of sand in the site. And I want to tell you one thing also.
Okay.
I am the only Egyptologist who have an open mind.
Really?
That I always
only
look.
one?
I always look at what the public say, and I will tell you about this later. I will tell you what I found in the pyramid. But let me finish this story, and after that I will come back to tell you how I look at what people say, and I try to investigate this.
Okay.
Then now, Mirror said, I put the stones on a cargo boat,
Okay.
and we came in the boat to Giza Plateau. The workmen took the stones up to the pyramid. We slept overnight at Giza. I got up early in the morning with my workman, went to Torah. He made many times talking about that. Then he said, I went to Sinai to bring copper and turquoise. But he said in Sinai, our big boss, his name is Ankaf. We know from text that the architect who designed the Great Pyramid, who was Khufu's cousin, his name was Hem-Eyono. Then actually, it seems now that Hem-Eyono died, and Ankaf completed the Great Pyramid and built the second pyramid of his son, Kefren. Then he said, I'm working in year 27 of Khufu's reign. He mentioned that Khufu was alive in year 27.
How long do you think he reigned for?
28 years. I published an article. I published an article about, you can find this article.
Why was the age 23 years, why was that attributed to them?
Now, this is a good question.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. It's important that you take care of yourself physically and mentally, because if
They count the name of the king. Because when the ancient Egyptian counted the cattle, they counted the reign of the king. Sometimes they count the cattle every year. Sometimes they counted the cattle every 2 years. Then we make mistakes. But now
okay.
we have year 27 of Khufu's reign. And we have on the second boat bit that the Japanese are restoring now, we know when the king died, his son buried him. Then Khufu's son, his name is Jerefre, who did not respect his father, and I will tell you why. He buried his father in year 28. Then we know now for sure that Khufu ruled for 28 years.
It's not the easiest way. I mean, I'm not saying that he's not competent. Of course he is. He's top tier. But as an educator, I would like to say that one thing is to know something and one thing is to know how to convey that so that other people may also know. And these are separate skills, by the way. So the only thing is, but again, it could be a language barrier. Maybe he could speak Arabic right now. He would have explained everything in such a clear way that it would have been great, but we don't understand the Arabic. So at least the majority watching this. So the only thing is that the for sure part I'm missing. So okay, we got this mention. How is it for sure though? Because what if the person who wrote this other written piece got it wrong? But then again, I don't know. Maybe you understood it. Please let me know in the comments.
Now, Mirror said something that made me very happy. Because 25 years ago, I wrote an article to say that Memphis was not the capital of Egypt. I said that the king ruled Egypt from the pyramid. If the pyramid is in Abu Rawash, the king ruled Egypt from Abu Rawash. If the pyramid is in Giza, Abu Sir, Saqqara. Then Mirror said something. Many people did not believe me when I wrote this article. But Mirror said, Khufu lived in his palace at Giza. If he lived in a palace at Giza, means with the royal family, the public, and the government. And he said that the area that Khufu lived in it, in the pyramid called Ankh Khufu, in hieroglyphic, means the Khufu lives. This is the name of the city that Khufu lived in it. And Mirror said, we came to Giza in an area in hieroglyphic called Ra-She.
Would be interesting to know if Khufu lived in the sense of reside, because of course in English to live can mean to reside or abide, but it can also mean to be alive. I wonder if in Arabic there is also that possibility, or if they are two completely separate words. Like for instance in Japanese you would say ikiru to be alive, but sumu to live in the sense of that's where you reside. I wonder, because in Italian instead it's vivere in both cases, it's the same word, or unless you say abitare, which is more like to reside, but still.
And Ra-She means literally mouth of the lake. This could be the entrance of Giza Plateau. But what's really strange, he said, it took me almost 1 day for me and my workmen to come to the pyramid. Why? Because Giza entrance was busy. Every stone coming in has to be counted. Every workman has to sign the first letter of his name. And this is why if you go today to the port of New York, it will take you 5 hours to enter because it's busy. And this is what happened at Giza Plateau. This papyri, in my opinion, is really one of the most important discovery that tells us for the first time about building the pyramid.
That is fascinating information from people that were actually doing it.
Now we come to the reign of Khufu, 28 years, and now the stones of the Great Pyramid. I looked everywhere to find out how they counted the stones.
Okay.
That people said it's 2,300,000 blocks.
Right.
I found no evidence. It's only when the Arabs came. You know, all the theories that the New Age people say now, it came from the Arabs. When the Arabs came and they entered the pyramid, they said all these nonsense stories about the pyramids. Then I never found any place to tell me how they cut the stones. But now we have evidence that the base of the pyramid is 20 feet high of solid rock, no stones. In 2010, I brought a team, scientists from every field, and we recounted the stones based on the new evidence, and we found out that the stones of the pyramid are only no more than 1 million.
I mean, that's interesting. To me, the exact number of stones is a little irrelevant. I mean, usually when the number of stones is mentioned is mostly to be like, wow, it kind of produces awe. It's like, ooh, so many stones. But whether it's 1 million stones or whether it's 2 million stones or if it's 3 million stones, I mean, I think there are other things that we could focus on. Like, for instance, the part about the tools is very interesting to me, or the fact that they use the water to move them around. That's also very interesting. There are kind of other things. Maybe be interesting to see if he's gonna ask him about the alleged finding of the structures under the pyramids. That's something I would like to know, what he thinks about, his opinion on. And then another thing, maybe the correlation theory, which was pushed by Robert Duvall, the one that says that, there are the 3 pyramids represent, it's like a terrestrial map of the constellation of Orion, specifically the belt. I'd like to know these things. What he thinks.
And the average height of the limestone is 0.5 ton to 2.5 tons.
So the base of the pyramid is 20 feet high, carved into solid stone.
Yes.
Yes.
And then the other rocks were placed on top of it.
No,
Now,
I want to come to when you told me about this capstone, because we did not complete the capstone.
Right, but let's start off with this, though. The base is 20 feet high, and then the estimation was 2,300,000, but you think it's far less than that.
Yeah.
Because of the new discovery that we found that the base is made of the solid rock.
So before they thought the base was individual stones.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So now that you know that the base is solid rock, that removes 1,300,000 stones that were necessary.
Yes.
Got it. So they carved this base knowing that they were going to put a pyramid on top of it. And what about the subterranean chambers?
Every king in Egypt is buried underneath the pyramid. Every king, except Kufu and his father, Senefro. The only 2 kings they are not buried underneath is Kufu and his father. If you look at the one chamber underneath, it was cut and built. If you go down, it's left unfinished.
Left unfinished in what way?
It was planned to cut it, but they did not complete it. You can see when you go down that the burial chamber is not finished. Why?
Why?
Because I found out in our research, every king is Horus on earth. When the king die, he become the sun god. Okay?
Okay.
Kufu, in year 5, he said, I am the sun god. And he abandoned the construction of the first burial chamber, and he built his chamber within the pyramid.
So it was a political move.
Because he's the god.
And that's
Yeah,
the
political, religious move.
Queen's chamber, correct?
No,
The first one.
I'm going to come to these chambers later.
Okay.
Right.
And the second evidence that he called his pyramid Akhet Khufu, means the horizon of Kufu. And the only one in the horizon is the sun god. And the third evidence is something that only occurred at Giza, the Sphinx and its temple. I found that the Sphinx represent Khephren, the son of Kufu, giving offering with his 2 paws to his father,
Okay.
the sun god, Kufu, who rises and sits in this temple, the first sun temple.
Great, you say so, but I'm not hearing any evidence of this when it comes to the Sphinx. I'm not convinced.
And this is why Khufu's pyramid is unique among the 120 pyramids. And I will tell you what I discovered inside the pyramid now.
Okay.
Now, before I tell you about what I discovered, I have to complete the scene that I told you, that I found workmen dragging a capstone. You remember? You asked me that. We stopped on that. Above the capstone, there is a hieroglyphic word called jaim. And jaim means white and yellow gold. A second scene I found, ladies dancing. And they call them the khenner. And the khenner are the dance troupe of the king. My
Gener.
interpretation of these two scenes. When the pyramid was finished, the king asked the workmen to put the capstone in the top of the pyramid. When they put the capstone in the top of the pyramid, cased with gold, the whole country dance and sing because the king became a god. That's what I call the national project of the whole nation. The 3 millions who lived in Egypt in the time of the Old Kingdom, all of them participated in building the pyramid to make the king as a god.
So it was
This is your theory.
Not a theory.
No?
It's fact. It is a fact. The pyramid was the national project. With
No,
Joe,
that's not what I mean. I mean, it's your theory that the capstone was put on and...
it's not a
everything,
theory.
yeah.
It's based on evidence. I found the scenes.
The papyri.
No, the papyri is something else.
What is-
I'm
where are the
talking,
scenes?
it's blocks.
Blocks?
Limestone blocks. One scene, workmen dragging a capstone with the word jaim.
Is this written in limestone blocks? Is this what you're saying?
No, it show the workmen dragging a stone
Shows it where?
in the stone that I discovered.
So it's carved into the stone.
Exactly. And the word jaim in hieroglyphic above that.
Where's that at?
It's an Abu Sir. I found
But
it.
are there photographs online? that we can
Yes,
see?
in my book. I don't.
boy.
I don't go online. Why I have to go online? I go to my book.
Oh, no,
I told you, old school. This is old school. Isn't it interesting? He's got some mannerism when he was like, that I found. And he went like this. It really reminds me of old school animation Disney old school animation. It looks exactly like that. Now that I told you, you take a moment to process that in your mind, you will not be able to unsee it.
understand, but for everybody else that
I
doesn't
think
have
you
immediate
should-
access to your
You
book.
should really. Did you find them online? It's called the Abu Sir blocks. Abu Sir, A, B as in boy.
Okay, I'm going to have to divide this in 2 episodes because it's going to take forever otherwise, and I don't want to be adding also my commentary. This is definitely longer than an hour now. So I would say that I'm going to call it a day for today. If you're interested and if you like this up to this point, then I'm going to make the second episode soon. And do let me know, though, in the comments. And again, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. And up to this point, it was very interesting, sometimes a little difficult. But in general, I would say this was a very nice episode to watch. And let me know what you think. And of course, share your opinions about if you know that anything that he said that you think is correct or you think is incorrect, something I may have missed. Do let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. And I will see you tomorrow. And remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.